Welcome back to the John Fourcade Show. One of our John Fourcade specials this week, a 2017 Ford Fusion SE. Sale price $20,900 plus tax, plus 0% interest for 72 months. Again, a 2017 Ford Fusion SE, sale price $20,900 plus tax, and you get 0% interest for 72 months. Listen, you can't find a better deal on a Ford Fusion 2017 model than right here at Veterans Ford. We're back here on the John Fourcade Show. John, playoffs last week, 2 words, lousy. I mean, it was as bad as you can get, blowouts. We haven't seen this type of, I think, kind of division between teams. You got to go back to 1981 when there was a bigger margin of victory than what it was this week. Normally the divisional rounds, the best watching of TV football-wise all season long. But all these games were absolute blowouts, and we'll take a look at the NFC score. Seattle, with the help of some calls that really went their way, they were the better team, but my goodness, did they get slanted a little bit on the calls there. 26-6, Rawls, 161 yards rushing behind that offensive line. And Doug Baldwin, a great game, 11 catches, 104 yards. Russell Wilson played about as well as you can ask him to play, 23 of 30, 224, 2 touchdowns. And then this looked like it would be a pretty entertaining game. And then the man himself, I'm just telling you, the most dangerous cat come playoff time, Aaron Rodgers, he showed up big, 25 of 40 after a real slow start, 362 yards, 4 touchdowns. Adams, 8 catches for 125. But Randall Cobb, when they needed him, 5 catches, 3 of them ended up in the end zone. And we saw at the end of the half, and listen, you might say it's luck or whatever, they practiced that a lot. That ain't the first, second, or third time. That's the 4th time I've seen Aaron Rodgers do that in a game. Sling one up in the air, and I don't know what the defensive backs were doing. Eli Apple and Landon Collins both kind of watched the ball come right to the receiver. You got to have somebody behind him to make sure he doesn't make that catch. Another great performance by Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go on record. That official that was in the end zone, if he did not see pushing off by that receiver, Cobb, for a touchdown, I don't know what he's watching. Granted, the DBs should have prepared themselves better situation, but God almighty, that was so much of a push-off there, Mike. And it's getting so bad that, you know, I don't care what anybody says, that is pass interference. You push the defensive back guy so you can get away from him. That should have been called. We can go on and on and on about all the games that it happens in a lot. They're going to keep calling defensive pass interference.
You got to call some offense.
That's what I'm agreeing to a point. You got to even it out a little bit. But if he can keep throwing halftime Hail Marys and catching them, and the game was still close right there. Yep. And it was also close, Mike, when it was 14-13. When it was 13-14, when the Giants went down the field on the 4th down situation, when the Packers went for it, they get the ball over it. They went and scored, made it 14-13. All of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers said, enough's enough. And they went down like it was 3 plays and scored, and that's when they dominated the game, and it was over.
He took over that football game, but I thought early on the Giants had an opportunity to set the pace.
Yes.
Odell Beckham didn't come through for him. And again, he had to know when you take off, and listen, we dealing with a different generation of individual, and that may have not played any part in how you played. But you had to know, even if you went, why are you taking pictures and posting that? Again, that part I don't get. You to the point, you want to have a good time out in South Beach and everything else, that's fine. But don't be taking pictures and people smoking weed and everything else and having weed there on the boat with you. Come on, you can't do that in today's world.
It's like they don't care. It's really, Mike, they don't care. I can do what I want to do anytime I want to do. Don't worry about it. It's totally outrageous to see this, but I don't think it made a difference in the football game.
I don't think it did.
I don't care when people start saying about, oh, yeah, look, it's your day off. If he'd have stayed in New York and did the same thing in New York, nobody would have said anything. But he went down, posted pictures, marijuana on a boat, and they looked like thugs, and it just looked bad for them.
You can't.
What do you think the media is going to do? What do you think the media and the people are going to say when you lose a football game? If you won the football game, they would say no, but that's what they're going to talk about when you lose games.
Especially in New York.
Yeah.
You might have done that in New Orleans or Houston, and, you know, they got a little bit of a link, but nothing much out of it.
I mean, it should have been like Romo and take a beautiful woman down to Cabo for a couple of days, and nobody would have said a word.
In the AFC, again, another blowout situation. The Raiders certainly undermanned, just couldn't get it done. Texans 27-14. Osweiler, no great shakes. 14 of 25 for 168, 2 touchdowns. But they had nothing really. Jack Del Rio playing with a small hand here.
Right.
Just couldn't get anything going on the offensive side of the football. And it exposed the fact that, despite the fact that the Texans aren't good on offense, they scored 27 points on a bad Raider defense.
Well, that's the whole thing about it. People didn't understand something all year long. They talk about the Raiders, this, the Raiders. Raiders had a horrible defense. They won because of their offense, because of one guy named Carr. He played well enough for them, probably an MVP candidate. When you go into a playoff and you don't have your first-team quarterback and then you don't have your second-team quarterback and you're going to start a young rookie kid or a kid who's never played before in a playoff game, and you're going against the number one defense in the league, they showed, I mean, they got 14 points for the Raiders, but that was a mop-up.
That was kind of garbage.
It was garbage at the end of the game. I don't see, with this offensive Houston going much further than what it was, but they had to play. I mean, your cards are dealt, the game's dealt, you got to go. It doesn't matter how it comes, you got to play the game, and Houston won the football game. It was just another sloppy, bad football game to watch, and we all knew it was coming. But tell you what, I did very good in my my little bookie betting this weekend. Me and my little friend, my little friend.
The other thing, too, with the Raiders, you know what you got to add in the offseason. Man, you need defensive backs in the absolute worst way, and somebody opposite Khalil Mack to take some of the pressure off of him. In the other game, again, another blowout situation with the Steelers playing Miami. Kind of a revenge game, but boy, did Le'Veon Bell put on a show there. 29 carries, 167 yards, 2 scores. Antonio Brown, 5 catches, 124 and 2 touchdowns. Ben Roethlisberger, kind of a pedestrian game for him. Again, 13 of 18, under 200 yards. He threw a couple of interceptions, but he didn't have to play great in this game. Miami's offense it got unstopped quickly. The only guy they got that would scare me is Jay Ajayi running the football. I thought that's where they would attack him, trying to run the football behind a really good offensive line. But that's not what they wanted to do. I didn't think that was a well-coached game by the Dolphins. I thought the Steelers' game plan was much stronger. They jumped on them, John, like they had stole money from when they was a kid, and they didn't let up the gas at all.
Mike, I felt like the Dolphins were happy to be there. We'll take our shot, but we're happy and thrilled to be here. And granted, you got a backup quarterback, but it was a veteran backup quarterback. The guy's not a bad quarterback. He did very well for him throughout the season. But after the first quarter, when your defense gives up 220 yards of offense, and now we're going to talk about it later in the show, a guy that we know very well gets a head coaching job somewhere else. But that's his defense that got torched in the first quarter for 220 yards. They ran all over the Dolphins. And Ben hasn't played well the last half of the season. I'm going to tell you right now, I watched a bunch of his ball games.
He's been pedestrian.
He's put some balls in the air that should have been picked. And what happens in this game? When they're up 30-12, out of reach in the fourth quarter, he's throwing the pass and the picks and gets hurt on the play, and he's in a walking boot. That's Mike Tomlin's fault there.
That was not a smart decision on their part. Another thing, too, is congratulations to a young man who brought a state championship to Shaw High School, Vance Joseph. He was able to get the head coaching job with the Denver Broncos. And John, 44 years old. We all kind of thought maybe this would go to Kyle Shanahan.
Right.
Vance came in, had a great interview. He was the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins, 12 years as an experience in the NFL as a DB coach, played cornerback, University of Colorado, and certainly had a great prep career at Archbishop Shaw.
There's no doubt about it. He's a West Banker. I know Vance and his family, Derek Joseph, and Mickey as well. He won a state championship for Hank Tierney's team at Shaw High School. And my hat goes off to the man. We all talked about it. My brother and myself, a bunch of guys talked about it. Is he ready? I said he wasn't ready yet because only 1 year as a defensive coordinator. But they don't look at that anymore, Mike. It's how many years you've been in the league.
Nope.
He's only 1 year defensive coordinator with a 29th ranked team at Miami. But he must have interviewed really well for John Elway. You can't mess up that defense in Denver. You just got to find you some offense.
What it does tell me, too, is no Wade Phillips.
Right.
I think that's obvious that they won't Wade out. And Vance becomes the first Louisiana guy, especially and even in New Orleans, to become a head coach since Richie Pettibone. Well, you got to go back. That's a long time.
In the NFL.
In the NFL to become a head coach. Last year, only one Louisiana product was a head coach at the major college level or in the NFL, and that was Frank Wilson.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden now, it becomes Major Applewhite at Houston, Ed Orgeron at LSU, and now Joseph with the Denver Broncos. We'll be back with more of the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford.